Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Roso. I'm a graphic designer and career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. From career struggles and anxiety to feeling like nothing is ever going to work out, I'm here to explore all the messy stuff that breaks us down and builds us up. So join me as we transform ourselves and finally ditch the struggle. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today's episode is about self-compassion, having compassion for yourself. Are you good at that? I was historically not, and I would say generally most people are not very compassionate to themselves. We've all heard, speak to yourself like you would your best friend, and I want to say blah, blah, blah. Because sometimes I hear that and I was like, okay, I get it. But it's hard to do. It's really hard to do, especially when you just feel that you are not doing well at some things and you're beating yourself up. And that is what we do really well. That is what women do really, really well. Like, they were stellar at it, right? But there's a few things that I've heard that have really helped me with this. And one particular thing. So I don't know who said this, and because I heard it years ago, so I can't really credit who came up with this idea or who I heard this from, but I'm going to add a layer onto it that I did think of that I think will even drive it home more, especially if you are a visual person, which I am. This is how I think of things in pictures. Someone I heard somewhere said that we are not just the version of ourselves today, like the age we are. Let's say we are 40 years old. We are not just the 40-year-old person. We are also the 1-year-old version, the 2-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 16-year-old, the 28-year-old, the 32-year-old, the 39-year-old. We are actually all those versions of ourselves. So it's not like we turn a certain age and then the rest of us goes away. It just falls away. It's actually still there. Those versions of ourselves are still there. And I found this fascinating to think about because we talk a lot about how, you change, obviously, you evolve, and sometimes you feel like you're a totally different person. But the idea that we are still the versions of ourselves that we were previously, it's attached to us still. I kind of find this comforting. It's like when we make a really stupid mistake that we know we shouldn't have done, like sometimes I'll do things and I'll be like, I can't believe I did that because that's something like the 28-year-old version of myself would have done, like at the height of my struggle mode. So how am I doing this again? It's just like, and you sit there and then you beat yourself up. You're like, I can't believe I did that. Or I sent a text the other day and I really felt reactive about it. I was triggered and I sent a text too quickly. And I am generally someone now who takes major beats before responding to something. I don't want to be a reactive person. That is not the type of person I want to be. That's not the identity I'm trying to build for myself. That's not the person that I want to step into. But I did. So I was like, just like beating myself up a little bit. But then I go back to this idea that I'm still the 28-year-old. She is still a part of me. And the version I am today as well, and all those versions. And that's why you hear some people talk about the inner child, especially those ages 1 to 8. A lot of the times that young version of yourself is driving the show. And if you ever find yourself kind of having a meltdown and reacting irrationally, it's often that young version of yourself. And so they are still with you. And I find this almost like a get out of jail free card. Almost like, okay, I can do stupid stuff still that I shouldn't be doing, that I know better. It's like when you know better, you do better. And sometimes you just know better and you still don't do better. So this gives me a little bit of like wiggle room, permission, and then it comes down to the compassion piece. It's like, okay, I can have compassion for myself because those versions of myself, those ages of myself are still within me. And in fact, those versions are what have built the version of you today, the person you are today. And so to take this, again, that step further and to really visualize things. When I heard this person say this, I thought, oh my gosh, it's like she's describing us as paper dolls. If you remember when we're kids, most of us made those paper dolls where it's like you cut out a paper doll figure from a folded piece of paper and then you unfold it and you have a string of little people. And I now think of it as we are these ongoing strings of paper people that keep unfolding, and they're obviously getting longer each year. But I can visualize that version of myself, the 1, the 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, all the way to my age now, and they're all connected. And then when you fold them all together, they create one person. And that reminds me that those versions of myself are always a part of me. They are always connected, and that is a good thing. Because it would be just too easy if we just only got smarter and stronger and less struggly without having to revisit any of the old lessons. I think it would just be too easy. And the lessons that keep repeating themselves over and over, well, we definitely need to really pay attention to those ones. Those are the ones that are like, okay, I need to break a pattern here, change something, do something differently than my family did. It would be too easy if we didn't have any of that stuff. But this little kind of visual reminder that we are still the connected versions of ourselves has been exceptionally helpful to me. As I said, I have had a history of just not being the most compassionate to myself. And then I started to realize, well, you know what? That's actually super dumb. It is really dumb to be so hard on yourself and to be unkind to yourself. And a huge motivation for me really focusing on compassion and having just a little bit of breathing room around how I operate is my body is always listening. So as someone who's gone through some challenging physical issues the last few years, and my body having some very fun, not fun aches and pains, and a knee injury and a whole bunch of things, the more I freak out on myself, the more I talk badly to myself, the more I get angry, that is only going to inflame my body and my cells, and it's not going to help me heal in any way, shape, or form. And I'm a big believer in what you say and the thoughts you think affect you physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of the things. And so the compassion piece is important to me, definitely, because that it forces me to be kinder to my body, be kinder to my mind, which is dictating a lot of what's going on in my body, and also just how I see things and how I can have a more positive perspective on things. And we cannot discount the simplicity of just staying positive. I mentioned that in another episode. With the mantras episode 111, we've thrown out positive thinking because it's almost too basic now in the personal development world. And I disagree with that. And having compassion for yourself can look like, you know what, I did my best today. I often will default to that. You know what, I really did do my best. And if I'm upset that my body is like having not a great day and my knees flared up, I'm like, my knee is doing its best today. Everything is doing its best today. And that is immediately going to flip the switch. That immediately puts you into a more positive state. And it's immediately showing compassion for yourself. Showing compassion for yourself regularly, I think, changes your life. It makes a difference over time. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it is one of those things that we need to focus on and remind ourselves that we are still going to make mistakes because we are always connected to the stupid younger years of ourselves, or the ones where we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was me. I can't believe I did that. I was looking back at something I wrote, I think just not too long ago, 2022, like 4 years ago. And it was for a presentation I did. And I looked at it and I thought, I can't believe I did this. I thought it was awful, like just one part of a presentation. And I kind of berated myself for a minute or two. I mean, I did catch myself and pull myself out of it. So I did it pretty quickly to pull myself out. But I was like, wow, I can't believe that was my perspective and that's how I saw things. But that's where I was at that point in my life. Again, not that long ago. And that version of me from 2022 is still here, still with me, still connected to the versions of myself. But she's no longer running the show. Like the last paper doll of the row is really the leader. And that should be the leader. And then all the other versions of yourself are kind of, they're along for the ride still, and they're going to stay along for the ride. But the version of myself today is leading it. She's in the driver's seat, and she is trying to have compassion, knowing all the wisdom that she's had over the years, but that she's still going to screw things up sometimes. And she's still going to be embarrassed of some things that she does, and she's still going to feel like she didn't show up her best. And she's still going to feel like she failed at times, because that's normal. But the not beating yourself up, the compassion after you do screw up, the forgetting about the mind, like letting those mind games go, can be really helpful. So I hope this little visual idea of having all the versions of yourself connected with you all the time, but not necessarily running the show, is helpful. And remember that it is a good thing that you are all those versions, even the ones that made mistakes, because it's getting you to where you are today. And 100% the version of yourself today, if you're taking any kind of personal growth action and just trying to become a better person in any way, shape, or form, you are going to be further along in life. You are going to be a better version of yourself. And that better version of yourself is better than the version of you yesterday. And that's all that matters. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. Be sure to follow this podcast, visit alanaroso.com, and of course, share it so we can build each other up. And before I go, remember to be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.